Tim Sherwood, good morning. Right, we saw a Manchester City fan mocking Arsenal by suggesting they are bottling the title. Are they?
We've been saying for a long time, because since they've had the lead, that it's only their mentality is going to stop them. I still believe that. So you're always going to get the fingers pointed at you until you actually do it and cross the line. Obviously, 3 times now they finished second. There's a couple of reasons why they finished second. Well, the main reason, injuries in recent weeks. But it's only going to be questioning their bottle and their mentality. And it's natural for people to do that, Tom, because it's quite evident they have the top-class players. They have a very good manager who's been progressive in where he's taken the club, but they need to get over the line. It was only 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the quadruple, 3 weeks ago. Now we're talking about, can they win one? You know, they've got a difficult game in midweek against Sporting. They take a lead into that game. I expect them to win it. It's going to be very difficult to win the Champions League. But the one they want, which all the fans want, is the Premier League, because over that amount of games, 38 games, the best team gets over the line. And having a lead for such a long time, to throw it away now would be unthinkable for Arsenal.
How can they change that? If their mentality at the moment is a problem, how can they change it in the next few weeks?
Well, they're going to have to. Their mentality, they're going to have to. I just think the manager needs to take the pressure off them. I'm not sure about... I mean, like I say, I'm a huge admirer of Mikel Arteta, but I just think it's getting to him. You can see in the press conferences. I didn't like the pre-match press conference. I'd just rather he says nothing.
So the pre-match news conference, he was banging the table, wasn't he?
Bring your lunch, bring your dinner, breakfast, your dinner. I mean, why? Just say nothing. Just say as little as you possibly can. Just the pressure's on your players. We know that. I know Mikel's probably trying to deflect it onto him, but I would rather them just be in it together and just concentrate on the game. And they seem to be playing. I had my eye on that game at the weekend. They're scared. They're playing scared. And when you're playing a dangerous side, we have to give Bournemouth a lot of credit. Very dangerous, Bournemouth, the way they set themselves up, because they've got nothing to lose. They've got an outside chance of getting into the Europa League, and all of their players want to play for Arsenal. So it's a great platform for them to go and showcase themselves, and they won comfortably, in my eyes. I just felt they was always under control. They had the game under control, and the anxiety, which is breeding to the fans, but largely because of Mikel's antics on the side. I mean, he doesn't stop. I mean, he's there. He says, the passion, I love the passion, but sometimes you've got to curb it. You just got to take a deep breath and let the players... You've done your work during the week. Let them get on with it. You know, he's like, pressure there, go and get the ball. You know, he's playing the game for them, which I half admire, but I just think he needs to take a step back, because the fans are looking at him on the side of the pitch and thinking, well, he's getting a little bit anxious. We need to get anxious. You see him boo at the end of the game there. You know, the team who have a fantastic lead going into the last 6 games of the season, you should be booed off by their home fans. But I can understand why, because they're disappointed. They want it so much, the fans, but so do the players, and so does Mikel. They're capable of getting over the line. It's a huge game. Gary Neville says it there. It's a cup final. It is the biggest cup final they're ever going to play next week. If they win that game next week, they can win the league. Gary's absolutely right. They will not lose this Premier League if they win that game next week. So it's down to 1 game. But I think they need players back fit. I think they need Calafiori back, and they need Timber. Because if they're not creating, not at the moment, scoring goals at the opposite end, they need to keep a clean sheet. Because a draw is not the end of the world for them against Man City.
So you've talked about the mental side. The injuries there covers the physical side. But what about the tactical side, all right? We can show some clips that maybe teams have worked out how to play against Arsenal, all right? So we've had Kepa. This was in the League Cup final. He's got the ball. There's no one obvious to give it to. He takes ages on the ball, doesn't know where to go. Right now, OK, a lot of people say, well, he's actually second choice goalkeeper. But actually, if we now look at David Raya as well, same thing. Gets the ball. Now, normally, Raya's the best at this in the Premier League, probably, all right? Where to go? Look, he's getting closed down by 4, maybe even 5 Bournemouth players. Doesn't know what to do. Eventually gives the ball away because he's trying to force it. So that is a situation where maybe teams have found how to get Arsenal under pressure.
No, Arsenal early on in the season, no matter if any teams went against them like they're doing here, they're playing a front shield with 4 players. You saw Man City do it. Bournemouth copied them at the weekend. Look, the outside of the foot one, it's anxiety. Now, all of a sudden, that crowd will get up and they'll get, oh, come on. Even our goalkeeper, who's been fantastic this year, is nervous. You see, that's risk football there. But they can do that. At the beginning of the season, they were doing it. They were popping their way through and they were beyond the press. And then the game was opened up. At the moment, when they're nervous, it's like they're playing like a team at the bottom of the league, struggling, you know, to get out of trouble. They need to pop it, they need to trust each other, they need to get back to the basics of knowing they're very good players, looking around the dressing room, knowing you've got top-class players who have managed to get a huge lead in the Premier League at the moment, and they need to get back for the confidence of just saying, you know what's the worst thing can happen? We can throw this league away. But there's a lot of worse things happening in this world than losing a football match. Go out and have the opportunity next week to have one game of football to win the Premier League. That is what is at stake next week.
So you think if Arsenal win next week, they win the title?
Yeah.
What if they draw? Or if Manchester City win, do they lose the title?
No. If Man City win, then it's still up for grabs. I mean, obviously, you've got a great game in hand. Then it goes down to, we saw they scored 3 yesterday against Chelsea. So the goal difference, I think, is 3 now. So, you know, if there's a turnaround next week when they play head-to-head, there'd be hardly anything in it in the goal difference. But they can't think like that. They can't go out trying to look for the draw. They have to go on the front foot. I believe that they're capable of going on the front foot. Man City's weakness is defending. Attacking at the moment, they can score from all angles. They're dominating games. We see them dominate Arsenal in the cup final. Mikel's going to have to learn from that. And obviously, you'll try and play his best team. Kepa will not be playing. It'll be Raya. But Raya needs to get back to some sort of confidence. He's been fantastic with his hands. But sometimes the anxiety comes when the goalkeeper he started panicking outside of his foot, trying to bend it around one of the centre forwards to his right back is not the way to go. Confidence, give it to play, have a respect for the team or of taking you to this position. It's all about one word, and we're going to say that a lot today. Where the bottom end of the division is confidence. They need the confidence, but why shouldn't you be confident? If you've got a lead going into this game, and you know if you win this football match, it's pretty much done and dusted. You should be confident. The team what should be panicking is the Man City side, but they won't be. And you know why? Because they've got a manager who's been there and done it, and they've got a load of players in that group who have known course and distance. They know how to get over the line, and they know full well, Gary said it there, you smell blood. They smell blood. They know that Arsenal are panicking. When they watch their game back, they will analyse their game against Bournemouth. They will know they will cause loads of problems at Bournemouth because confidence. They're not confident at the moment. They're not playing. They're not firing on all cylinders. They're not scoring the goals at the moment from set pieces, but they're certainly not scoring from open play. When you look at Man City yesterday, the contrast between the first half against Chelsea and the second half, there's one reason for that. The manager has gone in there at half-time, Pep Guardiola, and he's given them a rocket. And he's told them, come on, take the shackles off. Let's get at them. Semenyo, Doku, when you get the ball, don't play safe. Dribble at the... And they took the game to Chelsea and they ripped them apart in the second half. But one man, the manager, Pep Guardiola, has done that for them.
Well, Manchester City fans, we are going to be talking about Manchester City very, very soon. And Arsenal fans, we want to hear from you as well. You know how to get in touch by now. Now, Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis to discover true fan opinion. To have your say in your club, download the Finalysis app now. Scan the QR code for more details. We're going to stick with Arsenal, though, because one of their supporters, Scarlett Katz Roberts, joins us now. Good morning to you, Scott. I know it's not a great morning for you, but the term bottling it, are Arsenal bottling it?
It certainly looks like it at the moment, doesn't it? I mean, I said on Saturday after the game, that was a demonic parody of Arsenal. That's what we've been accused of being all season. I think we created 0.17 XG from open play. Our only threat was from set pieces. We couldn't progress the ball. We actually had no control in the game. And I understand process goes out the window a little bit at this stage of the season, and it's just about getting over the line. But we simply won't win enough games if we play matches like that, and that's what really terrifies me.
Tim says the biggest problem is mentality. Do you agree?
It's really hard to put my finger on, Tom. I've seen these players, I've seen this Arsenal team look absolutely undeniable across the 4 competitions at times in the season. And I know that when they play at the level they're capable of, they are one of the best teams in Europe. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're on the cusp of potentially being in the semi-finals of the Champions League. I don't think it's just mentality. I mean, I think it's ironic. Tim mentioned that we're missing some key players. And actually, the last time we chatted, Tim said maybe I was putting a bit too much stock in missing players. But look, it's tough. It's tough to go into games handicapped without your most important players at this stage of the season, and that's a problem as well. That's a sporting factor that we have to consider in how Arsenal have been able to set up for title charges this season and in seasons gone by. So look, there's something going on with the mentality, but there's a lot of things going on, and I cannot explain why the quality isn't there.
The mentality will always be questioned until they prove to everyone they can get over the line. It's just natural that that's going to happen. Who do you feel is the most important player at the moment? And I'm sure you're going to say someone who's missing. For me, is Timber. Timber is everything because he has got the mentality. He has got the strength. He can help you keep clean sheets when you're not scoring at the other end. Which player do you feel?
Any one of Timber, Calafiori, Saka. I think
so. Anyone who's not there.
Tim was a massive miss. But for me, actually, the bigger question about Arsenal is I don't think we know out of the players who are even on the pitch, given who pulled out of international breaks, etc., who is actually at their top level and who is dealing with something that we don't know about. I mean, we saw the players consoling Zubimendi on the weekend. He was poor again. He was brilliant in the first part of the season. I wonder, like, is there, are there issues with the team physically that we don't know about, even in the players who are on the pitch? Kai Havertz, for example, he's come back from effectively a year out of the game. He's not going to be the Kai Havertz that we want him to be right now. And I think that's another thing that's really hampering us is having these players. Odegaard, another one, he comes in for a game, he goes out. Eze looked all right when he came on, back from another injury. So it's not just players missing, it's players not being at their level as well.
His character now is going to get you over the line. It's nothing about tactics. It's not even about playing well. It's about getting over the line. Arsenal have done that all season. They've found a way to win games when they're not playing well. They need to do that now. You have one game left, in my opinion. In my mentality going into this, if I was in my Arsenal player, I'm Mikel Arteta, one game of football to win the Premier League, and it's next weekend.
Are you confident that you will win it next weekend?
I'm not confident at all. I mean, I think the way that this team looks at the moment, I can't see us not conceding some comical early goal.
But that's the issue.
Gabriel clearance. I just think that everything, we're being punished, that we're receiving the maximum punishment for any mistake or shortcoming in the team at the moment. And I'm desperate for that dynamic to change. And look, that dynamic is flipped on its head completely if we even get any kind of result at the Etihad. I think if we draw at the Etihad, we're okay. But I can't see us not conceding, and that feels unthinkable to say about this team.
No, we'll just end with a voice note from an Arsenal fan called Gary.
I said this would happen to Arsenal about 2 months ago. Arteta's putting too much pressure on them. Lifelong Arsenal supporter, but he's got to go this season, in my opinion. If they don't win, nothing.
But very quickly, Scarlett, do you agree that he goes if you win nothing? Remember that you can still win quite a lot.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that guy.
Let's continue our focus on the title race and turn our attention to Manchester City, who must be on cloud 9 right now. A statement win over Chelsea, capitalising on Arsenal's slip-up. Right, Tim, you touched on it when talking about Arsenal. Pep Guardiola's title-winning experience may be a lot more important than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's vital. When you're getting chased, if you're Arsenal, when you're getting chased, you look over your shoulder and you see who's chasing you, and you see a team and a manager who are prolific winners of the Premier League, then you know that you have to keep your foot to the pedal. Arsenal have slipped up, and I think Man City is smelling blood right now. They've come into some form. They always do. When April comes around, they hardly ever drop points. And Arsenal are not very good in April. They're going to have to change that trend if they want to win the Premier League. And they've got an opportunity next week. It's at the Etihad. On the face of the evidence, what we've seen recently, you would say there's only one winner in that game, and that'll be Man City. But Arsenal are going to have to prove us all wrong. And they're going to have the confidence in that group of players. They've got a lead going into this game. But Pep is crucial. He's everything. When I did it, we looked at our manager who'd been there and done it as a manager and as a player, and we looked at him. We'd never won anything before, but we looked at him to be the reference, and he kept nice and calm, and he kept us all calm, and he was just one game at a time. And he knew when we needed to play on the front foot and when we needed to take a back seat. It was that experience what I think is vital, and I think Pep Guardiola obviously has got that in abundance.
I'm going to back up what you said there about April, because in the Premier League, Pep Guardiola's record in April, the win percentage is 79%. Mikel Arteta's is only 44%. So that could be a real difference. But I also want to back up something you said there about, you were talking about how Kenny Dalglish was very, very calm. Pep Guardiola, last time they dropped points, he was asked how they should respond, the players, and he said the players should remain calm. Remember when they had that win and he said that they should go and drink cocktails?
And have a holiday.
And have a holiday, right? That is quite calm and relaxing. Whereas we mentioned Mikel Arteta banging the table in the pre-match news conference ahead of Bournemouth. In fact, we can show that now just to see the comparison.
It's an early kickoff, so get up early, have an early breakfast, bring your lunch, bring your dinner, how you say in England, and let's go all together for it, because it has to be a big day.
Yes, so referencing John Sitton there when he was Leyton Orient manager with that quote that he's used there, Mikel Arteta. But why does it help you if your manager's calm as opposed to a rallying cry for Bournemouth at home?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand what he was saying there, Mikel, but it wasn't exactly a rally cry, was it? I mean, it wasn't a Churchill speech there. I mean, he was quite calm when he was saying it. I'm not sure he needs to try and rile and get the crowd on side. They're on side anyway. They know that they're very close to achieving something they've dreamed about for many, many years. So the pressure's going to be on his players anyway. So just say as less as possible in this situation. The spotlight is on them. They know that. Everyone's waiting for them to foul because one reason, because of their bottle, because everyone's talking about they haven't got the character to get over the line. And just embrace it. If you're an Arsenal player in the dressing room and say, come on, boys, let's prove everyone wrong. Because we can never, if we get over the line this season, no one's ever going to be able to label that at us again. So just embrace it. Take it on board. And take the fact that people are asking them if they're bottling it, because they're in it. And they're more than in it. Like I say, they got one game to win the Premier League. If they win next week, over. It's finished. Because the confidence, they'll win the rest of their games going into that. This is everything. This game next week is everything. And I just feel it's just match days when I just feel, when the fan, you're a fan yourself, Tom, when the fans are looking at that game, not only watching the players on the pitch, they're also watching the manager in the technical area and you're seeing how he behaves. And when things are not going well, the fans look at the back of your head as a manager and go, do something about it. Now, he's playing the game almost. He must be shattered, Mikel, after the game. He moves from this area, that. He must wear out that technical area. They must have returfed it at the Emirates there. Sometimes you just need to. I admire. Listen, I was very passionate. I want to be involved in the game. But your job is done. Just leave it up to them. Don't kick every ball for them. Just let them go and perform and take the shackles off them. No restrictions. They're 6 points clear for a reason. Because they're a good side, and they've shown they're a good side, and they've shown that they can find a way to win football matches. Let them do it, Mikel. Let them do it. You can't affect it now. It's over the line. You can make changes in-game. Of course you can. You can do what Pep did yesterday, where at half-time he weren't happy, couldn't wait to get in the dressing room and give it to them. But once they're over the line, I don't know, people will say, well, there's no more passionate man than Pep Guardiola because he gets involved in the game. Yes, he does. But the difference is he's won it. He's been there. He's done it. Whatever he does, he's right. Whatever he does. Because if you're always right, if you win as a manager, if people are always going to ask questions of what Mikel's doing, and I think Mikel's just got to leave it up to the players.
Right, OK, well, it's working for Pep Guardiola at the moment. We're joined by Manchester City fan Aston Buckley now. Good morning, Aston. How confident are you now about winning the title?
Well, certainly growing in confidence. I mean, what a weekend that was for City fans. It felt like quite a pivotal moment in the title race. I sort of knew that Arsenal would slip up at some point. Whether City would be close enough at that point, I suppose, is what I was worried about, because City haven't been great since the start of the year. City are close enough, thankfully, despite some bad results. And when you just look at the two sides, you can feel the difference between the two teams right now. I feel like Arsenal are a team that play not to lose. City play games to win the game. You saw how they won yesterday, and they've kept clean sheets in the last 3 games they've played. They've scored 2+ goals in those games. And also, you feel a team that in Arsenal are feeling the pressure massively, and a City team that look like they're enjoying themselves at the moment, and it's all going to really go down to that game at the weekend.
Tom, it's just like the contrast between the Arsenal fans who we have on here and the Man City fans. You can see that is exactly like the teams at the moment, the confidence and the belief. But that you build that confidence because of what you've done in history. Now, the Arsenal fans are only expecting one thing, them to bottle it. Now, they need to be a collective because what breeds onto the pitch is the anxiety from the fans. I think you guys pretty much know that you're in good hands with Pep Guardiola. I mean, the confidence surely has to come from what you've done in history, yeah?
Yeah, it comes from the past. I mean, we know how important this period of the season is. I feel like with Arsenal, they've tried to sort of get over the line a little bit in games too early. When you've got sort of 4 games to go, 5 games to go, you can do that. City have done that in the past. I remember Vincent Kompany's goal against Leicester City in the 18-19 season. Everyone remembers that goal. They don't remember in that game, City were pretty poor, actually, got outplayed by Leicester, and Kompany scored that fantastic goal. City went and won the league, and I think they won the 2 games before that, 1-0 away at Burnley, and before that as well at home to Spurs. So you can do that sort of towards the end of the season. Arsenal have been doing it a little bit too early. Did that sort of play style that, well, we'll score from a set piece, so we'll be okay. And now the pressure's on. The City fans, we are confident, I think. We seem pretty confident that the side have done it because of what we've done in the past. But I can't deny Arsenal have been a good team. They are a good side. Of course, it's still in their hands a little bit because if they win this weekend, then I feel then it would be over.
Aston, do you think the fans of Arsenal have mirrored their team?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Bournemouth game and the 9 points clear top of the Premier League table, and they booed the team off at the end of the game, which I thought was pretty shocking, really, from a fan's point of view. I thought that's not really how you support your team, to try and push them towards the Premier League title. And I mean, before that as well, I was listening to Arsenal fans on here. I mean, City beat them in the cup final. They lost to Southampton in the FA Cup game. And the Arsenal fans were on here really, really worried. And the Premier League game hadn't even been played. And they were already worried about what's going to happen in the Premier League. Oh, we're going to throw it away. I do feel like the fans put a lot of pressure on the team. And I think Mikel Arteta does as well. He's speaking about his press conference. He seems to put a lot of pressure on his team and Arsenal themselves that every game's this massive game. The Bournemouth game this weekend, it's the biggest game ever. We've got to make it a big day. City just go into every game. Let's win it. It's not the biggest game. It's not the end of the world if we lose it. And we'll just keep going on.
But it is the biggest game next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive one. City fans, I think, could be confident, should be confident, really. I mean, you have to go back to 2015, the last time Arsenal beat City at the Etihad, which is not looking good for Arsenal, really, in that sense. And I remember the last time it came to one of these games, it was tense. You're thinking, oh, Arsenal could come to the Etihad, win it. They came to draw. They lost 4-1. The time after they came to draw, they got a draw. And in the end, that didn't work for them anyway because they dropped points elsewhere.
Well, you have just said, though, if Arsenal win next week, you think it will be title race over. Very quickly, do you think you were going to win on Sunday?
Yeah, I think I'm confident about City winning on Sunday. You have to be. I don't like being too confident going into games. Usually when I'm too confident, that's the ones where City slip up in. So I'm not like that usually. I'll probably be more nervous once I'm stood on the ground and I'm there in my seat and I see the players come out and I'll think, OK, it's going to be difficult. But we've got players in there I think they're really composed. I mean, some of the new players like Sherwood, Mark Gay yesterday, so composed. Play like it's a friendly at times. They're so relaxed about the way they play. City have got those sort of clutch players like Nico O'Reilly, unfortunately came off injured yesterday. I'm hoping he's fit for the game this weekend, who just pops up in the box from fullback and scores goals week in, week out at the moment. City have got those players who step up in the big moments. I'm not sure at the moment Arsenal have got that player to look to.
Bernardo Silva.
Very, very exciting game. Looking forward to it. Thanks.